Hey there, my name is Hydrogen Heather and we are very excited to have you here with us for today's experiment of the day. In fact, your response to yesterday's experiment was so overwhelming that we decided to stick with a similar theme. Yesterday is where we went outside at night with a flashlight and were able to identify the hundreds of wolf spiders that are in our yard, and we identified them by the glowing tapetum in the backs of their eyes. So today we are going to scientifically create a spider's web, and I need to ask, does anybody in here know how a spider makes its web?
Yeah.
Oh, tell me, how does a spider make its web? Oh, it does crawl like that, and then does it go like this, like Spider-Man? Actually, it's a little bit different. Spiders have these things called spinnerets on the back of their abdomens, and with those two little spinnerets, they're able to spin and weave a silken web. So the materials are very easy. For this experiment, we're gonna need a piece of paper for each child, and we're gonna put a couple of trees on it so the spider can build its web in between. And then we need a piece of wax paper to cover that white paper. And then finally, we're going to need some blue gel glue. And I'll tell you, we've tried really hard to make sure that all the materials that you need come right from your pantry or from your art cupboard. We find that white glue just does not work as well, and you may not have this in your home, but you can pick it up at Walmart or Kroger or wherever. It's just blue gel Elmer's glue. So here we go. When a spider finds it time to build a web to catch its prey, the very first thing it's going to do is build something called a bridge line. So it's going to choose two things, and it's going to walk a web right in between those two things. So I've drawn this. Now what the students are going to do is they're going to take the blue gel glue, and I'm going to demonstrate for them, especially on this first line, that spiders are never in a hurry. And I want all of you to pay attention to how slowly and patiently and strongly I am building this bridge line. And the reason I am very methodical when I'm doing this with children is that they will be inclined to go very fast, and then their glue line is not going to be strong enough when this thing dries. So all of you, I'm not even going to draw it for you. I simply want you to build that bridge line. And while they're building the bridge line, you and I are going to move on to the next step. So the next step is the spider is going to walk back across that bridge line, and it's going to lay a very loose line that hangs down. So it's almost like a smiley face, but I'm not even going to keep this drawing, and they're not going to create it because it doesn't look like that for long. Because now the spider is going to climb down, and it's going to drop a line from the bottom of that smiley face down to the ground. And what it does is create an anchor. So when the children go to draw this part, it is going to wind up looking like this. They're going to go down, down, and then they're going to connect it to the ground. So I'm going to let them keep working on that. Savannah has her anchors, and those are called anchor lines, but then we need to anchor one more time. So this is the anchor that we just drew, but now we need to go from the ground back up and from the ground back up. And once the spider does that, we have a completely anchored web. So as I'm building this with students, I'm drawing one portion at a time while they are drawing with their glue. Once we have that web anchored, it's time to add what are called radial lines. And those are the lines that go from the center of the web to the outside of the web. So I'm going to start by putting some radial lines down near the bottom of the anchor. And then there is no set number of radial lines. But we have all seen spider webs. They make sure that that web is fortified with several anchor lines. So now this is where the spider web is really getting to get some strength, all right? It's anchored everywhere, and those radial lines make the anchors even stronger. And now is where the architecture and the beauty and the art comes in, because now the spider will start from the center of the web and she is just going to crawl around and around and around until everything has been circled in. So that's what I'm going to do here. And then of course, after I do this here and my children and students see what I'm doing, that's when they can go through and do the very same thing. And by the time the spider is finished putting all of the rings in there, she's gonna go back and lay a second sticky coating, and that's when the real fun happens. She will rest in the middle of her web and she will wait for some unsuspecting smaller bug to fly and get caught in that web, and then of course she has her prey. She has her meal for the day. So this is how we create the web, and then this is what's really fun. It takes a full 24 hours for these to dry, because if you notice, we are using very thick lines of glue, but the reason that we are going so thick and slow and strong and methodical is about 24 hours from now, when this is dry, you can peel it off, and if you're careful, the web will come off all in one piece, and then it actually looks like a real spider's web. Now, if you happen to have any Halloween decorations left over from last year and you have any toy spiders, what you can have your children do is just very gently lay the eggs into the web, and of course the legs are going to dry right in there, and then tomorrow when you peel it off, it looks even more authentic and real. But this is the actual scientific process and order in which spiders build their webs. Children have a blast with this, and I know that your children are going to love it. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for the experiment of the day.